The Baltimore Ravens are a competitive team year in and year out, and while a large part of that is the execution by the players themselves, with all pros like Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Roquan Smith, and Kyle Hamilton, another big part of their success can be attributed to the coaching and front office, putting the right players together with plays, schemes, and fellow teammates that help maximize the true potential of the team. Some teams will sometimes overpay for what is a great player or two, thus restricting themselves on where they can add talent on their team. Or they will double up on a particular position where certain skill sets overlap. Or, worst of all, they'll sign, trade for, or draft multiple players that play the same position with no clear favorite for the only starting spot on the team. Now, obviously, you want to make sure that you have all your bases covered at a position, and depth is important too. But with only 53 spots available on an active roster, it's crucial to have versatile players who can play complementary football. And in the NFL, no one does that better than the Baltimore Ravens. Let's get to it. Welcome in everyone, this is Jordan with Ravens Flash Report, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the first couple position groups and how some of the top players in each bring a different skill set despite playing the same position. So, if you end up enjoying this video, give it a like, subscribe if you're new around here, comment down below which Ravens player you're most excited for in 2025, and don't forget to check out part 2 when it drops in a few days. First things first, I'm going to go over a few positions we won't be covering in this video, either because the position is too niche or because there aren't multiple players at that position. The first two are kicker and punter because they really only have one job on the team. Another position is quarterback because Lamar Jackson is the only starting quarterback on the Ravens. The final group of positions is the offensive line. There may be 5 of them, but this is what I mean by positions being niche. You wouldn't want your starting center switching over to left tackle in the middle of a game, and along that same line of thinking, you wouldn't want your backup left tackle taking snaps under center. With that out of the way, let's kick things off with our first position group, the running backs. While yes, our top 3 running backs are all fast and can run the ball well, they each have their own particular set of skills which set them apart on the team. First on the depth chart, and probably first in your mind, is Derrick Henry. At 6'3" and 250 pounds, Henry plays like a linebacker who can run at over 20 miles an hour. Unsurprisingly, this means he prefers to go through opponents rather than around them. His unique combination of size, strength, speed, and durability, along with his nearly limitless determination and hard work, has helped him build the Hall of Fame-worthy resume that he has today. While Henry is definitely both a workhorse and a bruiser of a back, he's not a one-trick pony, as he was fully capable of catching passes out of the backfield, a skill which he demonstrated 22 times in 2024. And while no one would outright call him a receiving back, the Ravens have made several opponents pay for assuming they knew what was coming with Henry in the backfield. A Ravens running back that, at this point, could be considered a receiving back is the second one on our list, and as of right now, the second on the depth chart, and that's Justice Hill. Hill started his career with the Ravens in 2019 as the third option behind guys like Mark Andrews, J.K. Dobbins, and Gus Edwards, fulfilling backup duties for the first part of his career before losing his entire 2021 season to injury. Despite the injury, Hill came back seemingly stronger than ever with arguably more burst. In 2023, Hill saw more touches than any other season in his career, but when the Ravens brought in Derrick Henry in 2024, Hill's role on the offense became much more solidified than ever, and he actually prospered. Not only does Hill provide the best third down pass blocking of the Ravens' top running backs, he's also their clear favorite when it comes to catching passes out of the backfield. The Ravens, however, have done a good job at balancing Hill's rushing attempts with his receiving targets with a nearly 50-50 split between his touches, an aspect of his game that keeps opponents guessing every time that he's on the field. Now, the last running back we are going to talk about is Keaton Mitchell. Mitchell offers the ultimate hybrid between Henry and Hill, with Hill's versatility as a pass catcher and kick returner, combined with Henry's home run hitting ability. What Mitchell does even better than the other two, though, is that he is debatably faster than Henry in the open field, and has more acceleration and agility than Hill. While Mitchell's production sample size is small and our backfield is already loaded with talent, the talent and potential of a player like Mitchell is entirely too much for the Ravens to deny, so he will see time on the field this season. There is no team in the NFL that has more skill, versatility, and coverage of abilities in the backfield than the Ravens coming into 2025. But sticking with the offense, we're next going to talk about how the projected top 3 wide receivers can not only be used on the field altogether at every play, but how each of them is a threat to any defense anywhere on the field. Just like we did for the running backs, we're going to start by talking about the Ravens' number 1 wide receiver, Zay Flowers. Quick, agile, and electric would be the first few words that fans might use when describing Zay, and while all of those are correct descriptions, he is quite a bit more than that as well. He's a sure-handed option for Lamar, threatens opponents with both short area speed but also underrated deep speed down the field, and once the ball is in his hands, he becomes one of the most difficult open field runners to tackle in the league. Yes, he is quick and has incredible acceleration, but he also has a great sense of spacing on the field and a natural awareness of how to gain separation even in tight coverage. At 5'9", Zay may not have the prototypical size to be the kind of red zone menace that many fans want, but between the 20s, there is a select group of top-tier players when it comes to elite route running and moving the chains, and Zay Flowers is among them. And speaking of route running, that's a perfect segue into our number 2 receiver, Rashad Bateman. Although Ravens fans often go back and forth about who truly is the better route runner between Flowers and Bateman, for what it's worth, my money's on Bateman, hands down. And while I just spoke about Zay's ability to gain separation and coverage, a lot of that comes down to his quickness and ability to cut incredibly fast. Bateman, on the other hand, who is still rather quick, is known to be one of the best at gaining separation in the entire NFL, and that stems primarily from the insane quality of his route running. Before 2024, I wouldn't have been so high on Bateman. Sure, he always had potential, but before 2024, he hadn't showcased the same level of consistency on the field and connection with Lamar Jackson. Last year, however, he not only showed his deep speed and improved chemistry with his QB, but demonstrated his keen nose for the red zone for touchdowns. Bate went from having 4 touchdowns in 24 games over his first 3 seasons to scoring 9 in just 17 games last year. Bateman is no jitterbug like Zay, and honestly few are, but his ability to gain separation anywhere on the field, the improvements he's had in connecting with Lamar on deeper routes, and his elevated play down inside the 20 has Bateman playing the perfect foil to Flowers in this offense. And finally, we get to one of the newest members of the Ravens offense, DeAndre Hopkins. Now, I could of course tell you all about what D-Hop or Nuke or whatever you want to call him has done throughout his career, but what matters for us is the last 2 seasons, because that's the Hopkins we're getting in 2025. Now, regardless of whether it's 2017 Hopkins or 2024 Hopkins, you know you're getting a few things from him. Sticky hands, incredible catch radius, catch point mastery, and clutch third down conversions. The best part about all these skills that DeAndre still has at his disposal is that their impact is not dependent on him being on the field for 100% of the offensive snaps, nor is it diminished based on target share. These aspects of Hopkins' game are efficiency-based, and to show you that, let's look at his stats from last year next to Zay and Bateman. Obviously, it's not a true apples-to-apples comparison, but what I mainly want you to focus on is that Hopkins had a much higher catch percentage than the other two, the same amount of first downs as Bateman, more touchdowns than Zay on 36 less targets, and wasn't even on the field for half of the offense's total snaps. And not to put someone down to build someone up, because I really liked having Aguilar here in Baltimore. But if we got similar production from our number 3 receiver last year, we may have had another viable option in the postseason. Regardless, with Hopkins' experience and style of play, along with the snap count percent difference between him and Zay and Bateman, Hopkins is the perfect veteran wide receiver to pair with our young duo for 2025. For the Ravens offense to be balanced, they need to have a passing game that complements their running game, and we saw them achieve that in 2024. In 2025, though, they have players within each position group that complement each other and allow for even more flexibility and a higher potential on the offensive side of the ball. I really hope you guys enjoyed this first video, and check out the second part featuring the defensive positions coming out soon. If you did, give it a like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts below. And as always, guys, stay safe out there, and go Ravens.